You can forget stocks, forget crypto. The most explosive commodity story of our lifetime is unfolding right now, and it has absolutely nothing to do with speculation. No, this is a story of pure physics, of four unstoppable forces on a collision course with a finite supply. This is the story of uranium.
I want you to picture a date, January 30th, 2026, just a couple of years from now. And on this day, the markets are in a full-blown panic. Gold, right? The bedrock of financial safety, it's in a freefall. It's down a gut-wrenching 11%.
And silver? Well, that's even worse. A catastrophic 36% plunge. The market's confidence is just completely shattered.
But amid all that chaos, one commodity is absolutely soaring. Uranium has just crossed the $100 mark. And really, the only question that matters is, why?
Well, the answer has nothing to do with what traders are thinking. It's an inevitability. It's driven by four immense, non-negotiable forces. And we call them the four horsemen of the uranium apocalypse.
Okay, so let's meet our first horseman. This thing is a behemoth of concrete and rebar. It's a testament to the single largest nuclear expansion in human history, rising right now from the plains of China.
Now, what's so incredible about this number is that these aren't just blueprints on a desk somewhere. They're not proposals. These 150 reactors are under construction right now. The concrete is being poured, the steel is being welded. This is a physical reality. So let's just break down what that really means. Each one of those 150 new reactors, it's going to need about 200,000 pounds of uranium every single year. So you do the math. That creates 30 million pounds of brand new demand. And here's the critical part. That new demand, all by itself, is going to gobble up 20% of the entire world's current uranium production. And that's from reactors that aren't even switched on yet. Now for our second horseman. And this is how it all starts to build. See, this force is a lot less visible than a giant cooling tower, but believe me, it is every bit as powerful. I'm talking about a historic migration of people. Over the next decade or so, 280 million people in China are expected to move from the countryside into the cities. Just let that sink in for a second. That is like the entire population of the United States picking up their lives and relocating. And here's the real kicker. When you move from a small village to a skyscraper in Shanghai, your power usage doesn't just tick up a little bit, it explodes. Right? You get air conditioning, elevators, subways, all the modern appliances. On average, an urban resident multiplies their electricity consumption by 2.5 times. And that creates a fundamental problem. This isn't some small incremental increase we can deal with. It's a massive surge in demand for constant, 24/7 baseload power, and you simply cannot run a megacity on intermittent energy that just vanishes when the sun goes down. Okay, our third horseman is a distinctly modern force, and its appetite for energy is growing at a truly staggering exponential rate. I'm talking, of course, about artificial intelligence. So get this. Goldman Sachs projects that by 2030, AI data centers are going to demand up to 90 gigawatts of new power capacity. To put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of 90 large nuclear reactors. But the world? We're on track to have less than 9 gigawatts of new nuclear power available to meet that need. That's not just a shortfall, that's a chasm. And you don't have to take my word for it. As Goldman Sachs themselves put it, the gap isn't small, the gap is catastrophic. Why? Because AI training runs can't pause for a cloudy day. ChatGPT doesn't just stop working at night. This is relentless, 24/7, 365 demand. And look, this isn't some far-off theory. Big tech is placing massive bets on this right now. Microsoft is financing the restart of the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant. Amazon just signed a nearly $2 billion deal to secure nuclear power. You got Google, you got Meta, they're all desperately locking in 20-year contracts. They know what's coming. The fourth and final horseman is rolling onto our roads every single day. The global shift to electric vehicles is creating a tsunami of electricity demand that our current grids, well, they were just never built to handle it. And the issue here isn't just the total amount of energy, it's the timing, it's the spikes. Ultra-fast charging creates these enormous instantaneous power surges. By 2050, this could multiply the peak stress on our electrical grids by a factor of 7.5. I mean, it could push them right to the breaking point. The scale we're talking about here is just mind-boggling. Look at China alone.
By 2030, its EV fleet is going to demand up to 500 terawatt-hours of power per year. That is like adding the entire electrical grid of France just to power China's cars. It's insane.
And this brings us right back to our core physics problem, doesn't it? Solar and wind, they're intermittent. They generate power when nature allows. But electric vehicles, they charge when humans need them to, overnight, after work. You simply cannot charge millions and millions of cars with solar panels when the sun isn't shining.
Now, here is the part that the market seems to have completely missed. These four horsemen, they aren't taking turns. They aren't alternatives to each other. They are all happening at the exact same time.
So let's just put it all together. By 2035, you have up to 70 million pounds of new annual demand just from China's reactors. Okay. Now on top of that, AI data centers globally need another 70 million pounds. And finally, the vast grid expansion required for both urbanization and all those EVs, well, that's going to consume another 80 million pounds.
So, the bottom line is this. The total new demand is a staggering 220 million pounds a year. But the entire world, right now, only produces 150 million pounds. And what's worse, what's really crazy, is that we are already running an annual deficit of 40 million pounds. And that's before any of this new demand truly comes online. The math, it just doesn't work.
And so this leads us to the final, unavoidable question. You have four immense, unstoppable forces of demand, all driven by the unchangeable laws of physics in modern life. And they are all crashing, right now, into a global supply of uranium that simply cannot be expanded quickly. So, what happens when unstoppable demand meets an immovable supply? That is the equation the world is about to solve.